I refused to fund my brother's startup after he lied about his debts. My parents called me ungrateful and greedy. We made you, my father said. I left the house key on the table. Years later, when their business crashed, they called begging, but the assistant said, I never thought it would come to this. Family is supposed to stick together, right? That's what I always believed, what I'd been told growing up in our small house just outside Plano, Texas. My parents used to tell me, family first, always. But that's easy to say when you're the one who needs help. When the tables turn, the story changes. I was 29, doing okay for myself. I'd worked my ass off to get where I was, grinding through college, working 2 jobs at one point, and then landing a stable position as a software engineer in Austin. I wasn't rich, but I was comfortable. I had saved, invested, and built a solid foundation for my future. My brother Derek. Well, he was a different story. Derek had always been the golden boy in my parents' eyes. He was the one they bragged about at church, the one who could do no wrong, even when he absolutely did. Derek was 26, full of ideas but no follow-through. He'd bounce from one scheme to the next, crypto one month, dropshipping the next, then NFTs, then real estate flipping, all with other people's money, mostly family and friends. Every time it went belly up, he'd say it was bad luck, not his fault. And every time, my parents would cover for him. So when Derek called me one evening, talking fast and excited, telling me he had this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I already felt the headache forming. Bro, listen, this is huge. It's an app, right? But not just any app. It's gonna change how local businesses and customers interact. Think DoorDash meets Yelp, but better. All I need is a little help, 50 grand, and I can get this thing off the ground. I didn't say anything at first. Just let him talk. I'd learned that with Derek, it was better to let him get it all out. Then I asked the question. Derek, how's your debt situation? He got quiet. Then defensive. It's under control. It's not a big deal. I've got a plan. That was a lie, and I knew it. So I did what I always do, I checked. I went online, pulled public records, and what do you know? Derek had defaulted on a personal loan, maxed out 3 credit cards, had a collections notice from a furniture store, and a pending small claims suit from his old roommate over unpaid rent. Over 30 grand in the hole. And that didn't even count the money he'd quietly borrowed from my cousin Jake, or the cash he'd taken from my parents to cover a few bills. When I confronted him, he blew up. Why are you digging into my business? You don't trust me? I thought we were family. I told him trust had to be earned, and he wasn't showing me any reason to trust him. That's when he flipped the script. He started crying, telling me I was cold, that I always thought I was better than him. I felt the guilt creeping in, but I held firm. I told him no. I wasn't going to throw good money after bad. The next day, my phone rang. It was my dad. The minute I heard his voice, I knew where this was going. You need to help your brother, he said. No hello, no small talk. Just straight to the demand. He's family. We raised you better than this. I told him I'd thought about it, and I couldn't do it. You're ungrateful, he snapped. We made you. Everything you have is because of us. That hit me in the gut. They'd helped me when I was younger, sure. But I'd worked hard for what I had. I paid my own way through college, took out student loans, worked nights while studying, and never once asked them for a dime after I turned 22. Still, they threw it in my face like I owed them everything. You're greedy, he said. You're turning your back on family. I felt something inside me snap. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just told him. If that's how you feel, I won't be coming around anymore. He said. Fine. And hung up. That weekend, I drove up to their house in Plano. I didn't say a word when I walked in. I went straight to the kitchen table, took my spare house key out of my pocket, and set it down. My mom tried to say something, but I cut her off. I'm done, I said. I hope Derek's app works out for you. Then I turned around and left. I didn't look back. The months that followed were brutal. The holidays came and went. I didn't get a single call or text from them. Not even on my birthday. It hurt, but I told myself I had to stand firm. They'd made their choice. They chose Derek. I focused on my job, put in long hours, saved, invested. I started a small consulting side hustle, and to my surprise it took off. Within a year, I had a few steady clients. By the end of the second year, I had enough business to go full-time. I hired a couple of employees. The money was good, better than I'd ever dreamed. Meanwhile, Derek's app crashed and burned. Of course it did. He didn't have the skills, the connections, or the discipline to make it work. From what I heard through the grapevine, he moved back in with my parents, licking his wounds. I thought maybe, just maybe, they'd reach out then. Maybe they'd realize what they'd lost. But nothing. Not a word. It was like I never existed. Until 4 years later. One random Tuesday, my phone buzzed. It was a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Later I listened. Hey, it's Mom. Can you call us back? We really need to talk. Her voice was shaky, desperate. I didn't call back. The next day, another voicemail. Then another. Then my assistant, Rachel, buzzed me on the intercom. There's a couple here asking for you. They say they're your parents. They look rough. I froze. My heart started pounding. I told her to tell them I wasn't available. A few minutes later, Rachel buzzed again. They said to give you this. It was a folded-up piece of paper. I opened it. Please. We're in trouble. Call us. That's when I started to get the full picture. Their business. Some kind of boutique home goods shop they'd sunk their retirement into, had gone under. The bank was foreclosing on their house. They were desperate. But I wasn't ready to talk. Not yet. I told Rachel if they came back, she should say I wasn't available. And sure enough, they did. The next day. The day after. And the day after that. Finally, Rachel asked me, Do you want me to keep telling them you're not here? I paused for a long time. Yeah, I said. Keep telling them I'm not here. She nodded. And that's where I left it. For now. Weeks passed, and they kept coming back. My parents. My brother. They tried everything, waiting in the lobby, calling from different numbers, even sending letters through the mail, begging me to call them. Rachel kept them out of my office. She became like a wall between me and them. One day, she walked in with a tight look on her face. They're back, she said quietly. Your parents. Derek's here too. They're sitting in the lobby. Your mom's crying. Your dad looks angry. I sat there for a minute, staring at my computer screen, but not seeing it. My stomach was in knots, my hands cold. I thought about it. Maybe I should talk to them. Maybe they really needed help. They were still my family, right? But then Rachel said, they were arguing outside. Your dad was yelling at Derek, telling him this was his fault. Your mom was saying something about you owing them. That stopped me cold. I knew that tone. That guilt trip, manipulative talk. I could hear it even without being in the room. My dad, angry and bitter, blaming me for not bailing them out. My mom, pleading and weeping, trying to soften me up. Derek, quiet in the corner, waiting to see if I'd bite. It was the same pattern all over again. So I told Rachel, tell them I'm busy. And if they keep showing up, have security escort them out. She nodded, but I could see in her eyes she thought it was harsh. That night, I sat alone in my condo, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was doing the right thing. The phone buzzed again, another unknown number. I ignored it. Then I got an email. Subject, please, we're desperate. It was from my mom. She said they were 2 weeks away from losing the house. That they had no savings left. That Derek was struggling, too. She said they were going to be homeless. That they didn't know what else to do. I could almost hear her crying as I read the words. I sat there, frozen, staring at the screen. Then I saw the line that made my blood boil. "We know you have the money. You wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for us." There it was. Again. The entitlement. The demand, wrapped in desperation. They weren't asking for help. They were demanding it, because they believed I owed them. And just like that, the guilt turned to anger. The next day, they showed up again. Rachel called me. "They're back. They're sitting in the lobby." I thought about it for a second, then told her, "Bring Derek up." Just him. Not the others. 5 minutes later, Derek walked in, looking worn out, thinner, hair messy, eyes red. He sat down across from me like a whipped dog. "Hey," he muttered. I didn't say anything. He looked around the office, at the view from the window, at the pictures on my desk, at the plaque with my name on it. "You've done good for yourself," he said, voice low. I stared at him. "Why are you really here, Derek?" He sighed, rubbed his face. "We're screwed, man. Mom and Dad, they're in deep. The house, it's gone. They don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm broke, man. I can't even get a job right now. Nobody'll hire me with my record. I'm staying with them in a motel, but we're almost out of money." I sat back in my chair, arms crossed. "Why didn't you tell me the truth back then? About the debts? The lawsuits?" He shook his head, eyes shining with tears. "I thought I could fix it. I thought I could pay it back. I didn't want to look like a failure to you, to them. I was stupid. I screwed up, man." I didn't say anything. Then he looked up at me, his eyes dark. "They keep saying it's your fault. That if you'd helped, none of this would have happened. That you abandoned us." My stomach dropped. There it was. The same pattern. Blame me. Make me feel guilty. But Derek wasn't finished. He leaned in, his voice low, almost a whisper. "But you know what? I'm done with it, man. I'm done with them blaming you. You're not the reason this happened. Dad, he kept throwing money at bad investments. Mom, she never stopped enabling me. They won't admit it, but they spent the retirement fund trying to bail me out, and now they're blaming you because you wouldn't pitch in." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. I messed up. I should have been honest. I didn't want you to hate me." I stared at him for a long time. I didn't say a word. And he just sat there, waiting for me to speak. The silence stretched. And then Rachel buzzed in. "Your father's calling on line 2. He says it's urgent." I didn't answer it. I just sat there, looking at Derek, feeling the weight of everything. And I realized this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet. But I knew one thing: they weren't going to walk all over me this time. I sat there, staring at Derek. For the first time in years, I really looked at him. Tired, hollowed out, lost. I felt a knot in my chest, but I didn't say anything. I needed time to think. He left quietly, and I sat there alone, replaying everything: my dad's angry words, my mom's tears, Derek's mistakes, and my own anger that never seemed to fade. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that phrase from my dad. "We made you." It echoed in my head, over and over, and something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to let them keep playing the victim, twisting the truth, acting like I owed them my life. So I came up with a plan. A week later, I hired a private investigator. I wanted the full picture: their debts, their foreclosure, every loan, every judgment. I wanted it all in black and white. The PI came back with a thick file. And what I read made my stomach churn. My dad had been funneling money into shady investments. A friend's failed restaurant, a car flipping scheme, even a Christian leadership pyramid scam. My mom had maxed out her credit cards to cover Derek's legal fees after he got caught driving drunk and hitting a parked car. And Derek? He wasn't just broke, he was still lying. I found out he had quietly taken out another loan under my parents' names after they lost the house, using their social security numbers, and they had no idea. That was it. I called Derek. I told him we needed to talk. At a neutral place. I picked a diner in a strip mall near the motel they were staying at. He showed up looking nervous. I slid the file across the table. Read it. He flipped through it, eyes wide, face going pale. Don't lie to me again, Derek, I snapped. My voice was low, controlled. You've been stealing from them. You used their social security numbers. They don't even know. He stared at the papers, mouth opening and closing like a fish. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. I leaned in. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell them. Everything. The truth. In person, with me there. He swallowed hard. If you don't, I said, I'll have no choice but to report you to the police. He nodded, tears welling up. Okay. He whispered. Okay. 2 days later, we met at the motel. My parents sat there, looking defeated. My mom's eyes were swollen from crying. My dad barely looked at me. Derek sat down and told them everything. The loans. The fraud. The lies. My dad exploded, yelling, cursing, accusing me again for not stepping in. But this time, I didn't stay silent. No, I said, standing up. My voice was cold, calm. You want to blame me? Fine. Blame me. But you lost everything because you refused to hold Derek accountable. You enabled him. You bailed him out every time he screwed up, and when I said no, you cut me off. You told me I wasn't family. And now? Now you're sitting in a motel with nothing. I paused, staring at them. You wanted to make me? You made this mess. All of you. My dad opened his mouth to say something, but I raised a hand. I'm not finished. Here's what's going to happen. I laid out the terms, like a lawyer presenting a case. I'd pay off the debts Derek racked up in their names, but only through a legal trust controlled by a lawyer. They'd never see a dime directly. I'd cover 6 months of basic living expenses. Rent, food, utilities, again, through the trust. After 6 months, the support would stop. They'd be on their own. Derek would sign an agreement admitting to the fraud, and if he ever tried to open another account or take out another loan under someone else's name, I'd turn the evidence over to the police. I looked at all 3 of them, their faces pale, their mouths tight. I'm done playing the villain in this story. This is the only offer you get. Take it or I walk. My dad clenched his fists, but he said nothing. My mom nodded, tears streaming down her face. Derek just stared at the table, ashamed. Weeks passed. The paperwork was signed. The debts were paid. And I made one final move. I bought the house they lost, their house, through an LLC, anonymously. I had it remodeled, rented it out, and every time my parents drove by, they saw strangers living in their home, the one they'd sunk everything into, the one they lost because they couldn't stop enabling Derek and couldn't stop blaming me. And they never knew it was me who owned it. Derek? He's working at a warehouse now, making minimum wage, barely scraping by. He's quiet these days, keeps his head down. My parents? They moved into a tiny apartment across town. My mom still sends me the occasional email. We miss you. I don't respond. My dad? I haven't heard from him since that day in the motel. As for me? I kept building my business. I sold the company for 7 figures last year. I bought a house in the hills with a view of the city. I have peace. But I won't lie, sometimes, late at night, I think about it all. The pain, the anger, the betrayal. And I remember what they said. We made you. No. I made me. And they'll never forget it.